Hello, so here we go. This is our photo for today, and it's about chess. And it's quite an old painting or drawing. It's from the medieval period, and today we're going to read an article from The Conversation, theconversation.com. Okay, so let's scroll down a little bit. And the title that's been given here is How Medieval Chess Created a Space in which Players, regardless of race, could engage as equals. And I think this is the author over here, Christina Lico, I think it is Lico or Lyco perhaps. Okay, it says she's from Cambridge. So I thought it was an interesting title, this one, because I think I'm guessing really it summarizes the whole article, or at least gives out some of the one of the key points. So medieval, medieval is a period of time in Europe normally, but I suppose you could say it was all over the whole world. But normally when you say medieval, it's just about Europe, sort of Central Europe, I guess, Italy mainly. But really, it's supposedly it's the period when I think one way you could define the medieval period is when the Roman Empire collapsed. Roughly about say 400 AD. That's the Eastern Roman Empire, and it goes up to when the sorry, I should have said it was the Western Roman Empire. The Roman Empire in the West supposedly collapsed in about 400 AD. But there was another half of the Roman Empire that was in the east. That was around Constantinople, or basically based there. And that time period goes between when one collapsed and then the other one collapsed. So it's hundreds of years apart, pretty much a century apart, you could say. So it's a long period of time, roughly about 1,000 years, starting from about 400 BC, AD, I should say. I keep making mistakes here, so do forgive me. So it's all about chess, and it's sort of saying that this game chess created something, it made something, and it's saying it made a space in which players, so that's the people who are playing chess, regardless of race. So when it says regardless of race, it means you can ignore race, or race has got nothing to do with it. And when it says race, it means white people, black people, brown people, these sort of people. That's what it means. So it's got nothing to do with that, or outside of race. It says that those people outside of race could engage as equals. So it's fascinating that. It's interesting, they're not looking at each other's eyes or faces. They're looking at the board, playing a game, and it's distracting them. That's what immediately strikes me. Okay, so my time to shut up now. But let me just quickly tell you about the photo we just looked at. So an illustration from the Libro de Axedrez showing two players immersed in a game. Libro de Axedrez. And I think that's actually Spanish, isn't it? I think we sort of decided a moment ago. So are you okay, Michael, once again, to start off reading this article here? So some of
Okay.
the words a bit longer than normal that we might have read sort of the last few weeks and months, but hopefully it should be okay. So over to you, Michael.
In the medieval European imagination, racial difference was often highly polarized. Black people were perceived either as exotic status symbols, including saints and wealthy rulers such as the Queen of Sheba, or as subjugated figures considered inferior to white Christians. Yes, as my research demonstrates, the game of chess offered an alternative lens, creating a space in which players, regardless of their skin color, could engage as equals.
Hmm.
Evidence from the Libro de Axedrez Dados et Tables, Book of Chess, Dice and Tables, a gaming manual completed for keen King Alfonso the Wise in Seville in 1283 reinforced my idea. The manuscript contains 103 chess problems, each of which is accompanied by text revealing the winner and an image. These illustrations show a wide array of figures ranging from Jewish men to Muslim women. They
Mm.
include Asian, white, and black players. One of its most striking illustrations shows a black and a pale-skinned player facing each other across a chessboard. The latter, the latter has a shaved head, showing that he is a learned cleric. Yet, despite this signifier of intelligence, the next reveals that the black player will win. In the game of logic, the triumph will be achieved by demonstrating superior strategic skills. The player's mental powers, no, the player's mental prowess matters above all. As the Liberto de Axedrez reasons, chess is an embodiment of wisdom, and those who study it become able to conquer others.
Yes, fantastic. Very impressive. Well done. Okay, so a bit tricky in places, but anything you would want to ask about or talk about there?
Yes, there
Okay.
are a couple of words.
Yeah.
Uh,
Okay. That's the beginning then at the top.
in the beginning,
Mm.
medieval,
Yeah, that's pretty good. I can definitely understand what you're saying. We say it's slightly different maybe. So medieval, medieval.
medieval, yes,
Yeah.
medieval,
Yeah, yeah, medieval. So I suppose I tend to think there's almost like there's two words stuck together. It isn't really. So we sort of say
medi
then evil, medieval, medieval.
medieval.
Yeah, yeah, that's even better. Yeah. So maybe there's a slight um emphasis on the evil bit there at the beginning, I suppose. Evil, I suppose. That's it. I think you've got it though. That last one was it. Do you want to say it a couple more times? So medieval, medieval.
Medieval,
Yeah.
medieval, medieval.
Yeah, yeah. That's it. I think you have it spot on, really. That's it. Tricky.
Highly polarized.
Hmm.
Is it correct? Polarized.
Yeah, that's it really. Yes, highly polarized. Yeah. So
Polarized.
we sort of say polar and then ized, I think. But you've got it really. Polarized. Polarized. That's it.
Polarized.
Ah, but what does it
Okay.
mean, polarized? Ah, okay.
It's a split. It's like
Yes.
North Pole and
So
South Pole. It's
yeah, that's it.
absolute different sides. It's
Yeah.
polarized.
When there's a big difference between things, you can say it's polarized. You sometimes politics is you could say that the
Yeah.
politics is polarized, maybe.
Right wing, left wing.
Yeah, that's it. If it when you say politics is polarized, it can be a bit sort of nasty and a little bit sort of beyond politics, maybe. A bit too nasty, I suppose. But you just, in other words, you don't supposedly you don't really want things to be polarized because it's just a bit too um angry, I suppose. Okay, so if you carry on then, anything else in that paragraph?
Or
Yeah.
subjugated. I don't
Yeah,
know.
no, that's it. The last one is pretty much it, really. Yes. So subjugated, subjugated.
Subjugated.
Yeah,
Subjugated.
yeah. And the idea of the meaning and what it means?
I've seen before.
Yeah.
It's captured.
Yes. Yeah, that's it. Yes.
Like
It may have come up in the Wind of Rome. I think that story we read, that subjugated people. So it's like a people that have been sort of captured or imprisoned. Or if you go to prison, something like that, you might be subjugated. You might say. But people who are in prison, you wouldn't really say they've been subjugated, but it's that sort of idea. You've got it, yeah. But normally it's when there's been a war or something. I think when you said this sort of person here. So this is the Queen of Sheba. Queen of Sheba. I think it was Sheba, wasn't? I can't remember how you said it now, but it's a little bit out. I think Sheba.
Sheba.
Sheba. So she gets mentioned in the Bible, and I think she was a real person, I believe, or there's evidence for her existence outside the Bible, I think. So yeah, yeah. What's that? Yeah, okay. Yeah. Anything else?
The phrase an alternative lens, it's another point of view, the meaning, yeah?
Yes, an alternative
Another,
lens. Yeah, that's how I would look at that phrase without looking at reading it further. Yeah. So another way of looking at it is to say this and this. Yeah, that sort of thing. Yeah, spot on. I think so. So yet, as my research demonstrates, the game of chess offered an alternative lens. So creating a space in which players, regardless of their skin color, could engage as equals. So this is talking about engaging as equals, and this bit is the alternative lens. That bit, the engaging as equals is the alternative lens. Because in the other paragraph, it talked about people being subjugated, and if you're subjugated, that's not equal, is it really? It's being under another power, under another group of people. I think about also actually with the word status. I think when you said, I think you said status.
maybe, yeah, status,
Yeah, it's status. Yeah, yeah, that was it. So status. I think we say status.
status,
Yeah, I think some
status.
people do say status too, but status is most people. I think we say it that way.
Yeah,
But minor detail.
yeah.
Status. Yeah.
Uh,
I think
we
everything you
pronounce,
said I can
we
understand. It's just
pronounce,
detail. Yeah. Sorry?
yeah, yeah. It's because we pronounce use this word in our language like status. Yeah,
Yeah.
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 Status,
Status.
status.
Yeah, that's it. Status. That's it.
Um,
Um, and maybe actually thinking about it, I think the word considered, I can't remember how you said it now, but it wasn't. So I just read that last bit there again. So, or as subjugated figures considered inferior to white Christians. So just so it was subjugated and considered thinking about it. So that's all that is. Do you want to just say considered again? Just say considered.
considered, considered.
Yeah, yeah, I think you got that pretty good. Yeah, you're getting there very much. Yeah, that's great.
The manuscript or manuscript,
Yeah,
manuscript,
yeah, manuscript.
manuscript.
Yeah, manuscript. Yeah, that's for whatever reason we say it that way. Strange, isn't it? Um, maybe even think about it there. So that bit there too. Think about it. So I think it was the equals. I think it was. So could engage as equals. So equals. Do you just say that?
Equals,
Yeah,
equals.
equals.
Could could engage as equals.
Yeah, it's an odd sounding word. It is odd spelling too. Equals. Yeah, that's it. You're getting it. You're getting it. It's pretty good though. Anyway, yeah. Anything else in this paragraph here? So look, done manuscript, but anything else? Um, it's probably worth rereading that bit.
Illus- ill- illustrations.
Yeah,
Illustrations.
that sounds very good the way you're saying it. So at the beginning, illustrations. So it's not you, but we say illustrations.
Illustration.
Yeah, you've got that one. That's good. Let me just reread that paragraph there because there's a couple of words. You're not at 90% there, but just a little bit extra little go on it maybe. So if I just, so I think accompanied was one word, and maybe the word contains, I think. So that word contains, maybe accompanied. I can't remember now. So I read that. I'll read that one there. So evidence from, let's just call that the book. No, Libro de Axedrez dados et tablas book of chess, die, and tables. So when you say die, I've read that as wrong, so it should be dice. That's dice there.
Plural of
Yeah,
dice. Die.
yeah. So dice. I said that's dice. Is that dice? Let me pop it into the dictionary just for confirmation. Clwyd. That's a place. I don't know what that says. So Clwyd. That's a place in Wales. Clwyd. Let's just quickly search this word here. So that's interesting. So that's the plural there, I think.
dices,
Dices, and they're saying
dice,
dice. Interesting. Uh, can't find it
No,
now.
I know.
Did you? Yeah,
I
go on.
know plural. It's of dice. It's die. Maybe it's in
Yeah,
American.
so
American, maybe English. It's
yeah,
maybe different.
so a countable noun, dice, dice. So let's go to the American ones. That's a photo. Plural noun.
dice,
Also called
That's the
die.
British one. So that's the British one, isn't it? Oh, plural of. Well, I'm not quite sure how to make of that. This is die there, so
dice,
dice. Oh yeah, so singular. So what? So they're saying dice is the plural.
dice,
Uh-huh.
Yeah, dice. And I think we often talk about we use the plural more than the singular. And they're saying singular could be die or dice. And this is under the American English, so it could be either, really, or either, either or either.
Mm.
That's interesting, isn't it? But yeah, I definitely hear them talk about die as the plural. So I think I'd say you're right, really, to be honest. But dice does get used as plural as well as singular. So dice. Um, but I would have thought that would be the plural because we're talking that's tables. I don't know really. Doesn't matter. So dice and tables, a gaming manual completed for King Alfonso the Wise. So Alfonso, as I would say that there. The Spanish might say it slightly different anyway. So in Seville in 1283 reinforced my idea. And so this is the presumably the author's idea. Then it says the manuscript. So a manuscript is like an ancient book, but it can be like loose pages, something like that. It's something like the shape of a book normally. So if this ancient writing was in any other form, it might be in a scroll. So that's where it's round up, a long sheet of paper, maybe a meter long or even longer, and just rolled up. But when you say manuscript, it sort of means it's in the form of a book and also handwritten. When you say something is in manuscript, you mean it's a book which has been handwritten. So an author today might write in manuscript, or he might write out a manuscript, and that sort of means it's the only copy of that book, and it's probably in his own handwriting. But it might be typed up as well, and still sometimes be called a manuscript if it's his only copy of that book and he's trying to get it published. So publishers talk about manuscripts, that sort of thing. But in this sense here, in this context, it means an old writing, not in the form of a scroll, but in some sort of probably a book or something in human writing. So anyway, so it contains 103 chess problems. So that's to do with the game of chess and little issues like how would you get out of this situation where there's 3 black and 12 white? How could the black win with so few people, so few pieces on the board? Something like that. It means. But I don't know. I'm not seeing the book. I don't know. Then it says, each of which is accompanied by text revealing the winner with an image. These illustrations these illustrations show a wide array. of figures ranging from Jewish men to Muslim women. They include Asian, white, and black players. So I highlighted the word array. So what does array mean? Array. How would you describe that? And normally it's an array of something. When you use the word array, it's normally of
Many,
something. Yeah,
it's many things
yeah, yeah.
enormous. I don't know. It's
Mm. Yeah, that's and a little bit more though. When there's an array, sometimes, not perhaps absolutely always, but often it's some sort of a pattern or it's sort of laid out in a way, an array of something. So you might say an array of numbers or an array of stars, or the array of stars in the on the night sky was very beautiful. So it's sort of like some sort of a pattern or some sort of a layout of some sort. But they're saying figures here. When they say figures, they're using that to mean people. So people can be figures too, strangely enough. And when they say figures, they mean in that picture. Look at that picture there. If I quickly flick back to the photo. So these are the figures. These people are the figures in this photo here.
I think
Mm.
uh,
Yeah.
I thought maybe I'm wrong. The array of figures, it's figures on the chessboard who
Um,
range
mm,
who I don't know, and these people,
mm.
Jewish and
Black and white and whatever. Yeah.
they
A Muslim.
uh,
Yeah.
range. They not range. They um,
Move the pieces on the board.
control. Yes, move, control. Who play
Yeah.
with
Yeah. Yeah.
figures.
Yeah. Play the game. Yeah. The piece. We call these little things. We call them the pieces. The chess pieces. Um, yeah, it's quite a literary way of talking. They're talking in a very sort of bookish kind of a way. So, so if I just read that bit again. So these illustrations. So that's the thing we just saw, the little picture with those characters on it. These illustrations show a wide array of figures. Yeah, so this is definitely the people. It's definitely the people it represents, the
Mhm.
white people, the black people, whatever, ranging from Jewish men, Muslim women. They include Asian, white, and black players.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So the players are the people who are moving the pieces around on the board. Players. They're playing the game.
Yeah, you're right.
So do you just want to say contains maybe the word manuscript too? So manuscript contains 103 chess problems. Do you want to try that bit there?
Manuscript contains 103 chess problems.
Yeah, that's it. That's good. That's pretty good. Maybe the word accompanied. I can't remember how you said that, but I have a vague idea somehow. Accompanied.
Accompanied,
Yeah, yeah, you're better than
accompanied.
you're better on better than me actually with some of these words. That's good. That's it. That's really good. Uh, and anything down here? Oh, I keep highlighting the wrong bit. Anything down here? Because you read
Mm,
that bit too, I think.
one
So
of it.
there were a few bits here, wasn't there, I think?
The later, it's
Yes.
later. It's like
Mm.
delay in time,
Uh,
or latter like widely.
they sort of have had the same, similar meaning, but but this one is latter. That's latter, and the other one, if you take one of those T's away, it becomes later. Later, but this is latter. So normally when you talk about latter, it means the second of two things possibly, or the last of that long list of things
Uh,
maybe. Yeah.
latter.
So here there's a list of one, two, three. Well, there's three things. There's Asian, white, and black. And so the latter would be black in this case, black players. If they're talking about this sentence, but I don't think they are they? Or perhaps they're not. So, yeah, so if I just read that to you, that half a sentence, it says, so the latter has a shaved head. So it's one of those players, isn't it, in the picture, I guess. Oh, and also the second half of this sentence, that one there. So showing, this is the shaved head guy, I guess, showing that he is a learned. Strangely, this is one of those strange situations when the ED, we say in this old way, learned, learned. That's how it used to be said, learned. Because it's to do with education and high position, sort of normally a cleric or a lawyer, you can refer to them as learned. So you might talk about a learned cleric. So if you're a cleric, it means you're in sort of some sort of religious position. You're a priest or very high up priest, probably. But if you're learned, it means you've done a lot of studying, done lots and lots of studying. You're very intelligent. You've read the Bible or whatever
Uh,
your religious books are.
like educated.
Yeah, it's basically saying this person's very educated, but so let's say academic. That's probably the way of putting it. They might be very practical too, but this is emphasizing their academic skills. The other way you'd use it is with a lawyer. Often a lawyer, you often hear this on the TV, when a lawyer is talking to another lawyer in court, he'd said, but my learned colleague sitting here next to me, my learned colleague said this, but and they sort of use that sort of phrase, my learned colleague, or the
Right.
learned lawyer, something like that. So it's a way of complimenting them, so they're very intelligent. But I think probably when the lawyer is saying it, there's a slight feeling of he's making fun of them, actually.
Uh, According to this, tell me please, can we replace this learned like educated, yeah, educated colleague or no?
Um,
It's not actually, yeah.
it it sort of means that pretty much.
Oh, okay.
But when you say but learned, it's this is the only, so not the only, but one of those very few places where you use it. And as soon as you say learned, you sort of, people know what it means. And you wouldn't quite be quite right to say educated, because really I would say all clerics are educated, really. All clerics are educated.
Okay.
No, when you, with the cleric is trying to sort of um, guide people in religious behavior, certain religious behavior, and so they have to be learned. If they're not, then they're not really clerics in a sense. If you're teaching someone something, you need to be. And interestingly, they talk about pronunciation note, and I guess this is exactly what they're going to talk about here. So if I just play, yeah, I can see that's learned. Let's listen to that one.
learned,
Learned. They're saying it here. So this is for sense one and sense two. But the other way of saying it is this one, learned.
learned,
So learned. So it's exactly the same spelling, but there's two ways of saying the word. So when you're in that particular situation, where you're talking back an academic person, and you're sort of giving them a slight honour by saying, "Oh, he's a very learned person." That's when you say it. So sense one. So a learned, learned person has gained a lot of knowledge by studying, and that's really what you're saying. He's a serious scholar. So a scholar is a learned person, basically. A genuinely learned man. Learned. Okay, so it's scholarly, experienced, lettered. So when I say lettered, they sort of mean they have lots of letters after their name. You know, a doctor, if you're a doctor in college, you get a PhD or a BSc after your name, or BA. That's the letters they're talking about, you could say. Or you could say it's all the books they've read. They're the letters. You could say that too, I guess. So sense one and sense two are learned. And what's the other way of using it? So learned books, that's true. You sometimes you talk about the book itself as being learned. So learned books or papers have been written by someone who has gained a lot of knowledge by studying. So particularly academic books, you might talk about these books as being learned. So this learned book should start a real debate on Western policy towards the Baltics. And I think we know the other meanings. So do you want us to say learned, Michael, and then Ruslan? You okay?
Learned.
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 You're saying
Learned.
it's more.
Yeah.
I'm saying it's learned. Let's listen to them for a second.
learned,
So it's learned.
Learned.
Yeah, that's it. You got it. Do you want to try?
Learned.
That's it. Well done. So and Rusland, do you want to give it a go, Rusland?
learned.
Yes, learned. That's it. You've got it. I think that's it. So that's the two ways of saying that word. So it's not exactly rare, but it's not very common. It's not that common really. It's only in these couple of situations you talk about it. It's about academic sort of circles. So yeah, despite anything else down the bottom there. I think you pretty much.
Uh, the word signifier. It.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, I understand the meaning of
Oh.
this sentence, but uh, despite this signifier of intelligence, so
Mm,
it's a cleric, a learned cleric show their intelligence, shows their shows his knowledge. Uh, but signifier, it's
mm.
what does it mean?
I would say, quickly looking at it, that the signifier, strangely, is the shaved head, I think. So let's go back to the photo for a second. Is there someone with a shaved head there? There isn't. So, okay, let me read that bit again then. I think that's what it's saying. So, one of the most striking illustrations shows a black and a pale-skinned player facing each other across a chessboard. The latter, so that must be the pale-skinned player. That's the latter one. The pale, sorry, yeah, the latter has a shaved head, showing that he is a learned cleric. So, oh, that's right. Back in the medieval period, and they probably might still do it. I look at the photo here. I can't see anything in that photo. Maybe it's the next photo down. Let's go down to that one. No. Ooh. Oh, there isn't any more photos. Let's close that there. So I forgot what they call it. If you went into a monastery and you want to become a monk, you'd first of all start off at the lowest level. I think you start, I forgot what the phrase is, you start off at the very lowest level. But one of the first signs you're going to become a monk is they would shave the top of your head in a sort of a circular shape. So you've got hair at the side of your head, but not on the very top. Oh, is it good? Oh. So and I can't see it in these photos either. So maybe he's white at the top there, top of his head. I don't know, but not that I can see. So I think that's what they're talking about, I think. The shaved head. So the latter has a shaved head, showing that he is a learned cleric. It's him having this is it a taunt or tonto? I think it's called something like that. If you have the top of your head is shaved in that sense. Tonto, something like that. Okay. Um, And so yet, despite this signifier of intelligence, the shaved head, the text reveals that the black player will win. So in other words, you've got this really intelligent,
Yeah,
learned cleric, and he's going to lose to a black player who supposedly they're saying was sort of looked down upon, was possibly a subjugated person, I don't know. And yet the black player is going to win. So, and that's why it says yet and then despite. Those two words indicate that things are going to be overturned of the opposite way round to what you might expect. The weaker person wins because they're wiser or more clever in this game. Um, okay, does that make sense?
yeah.
Yeah, of course. That's good.
And I think the last word is prowess or prowess.
Yeah, I
The
think I
player's
think
mental prowess. What does it mean? Prowess.
um so it's prowess, prowess.
Prowess.
So it's sort of like showing your dominance or your great skill or ability. Or if if you're showing that, then you could say, I'm showing you my prowess. Yeah,
Prowess.
prowess. Yeah, so if I'm marching around with my head in the air, my chest sticking out, I'm showing how strong I am, how wonderful I am, how powerful I am. That's prowess, you might say. But let's see what they say. Someone's prowess is their great skill at doing something. Or it could be just that you think you're very strong or very powerful and you might walk around showing off your prowess. So an example sentence using the word would be here. It says, he's always bragging. So if you're bragging, you're telling people how fantastic you are, if you're bragging. So he's always bragging about his prowess as a cricketer. His prowess as a cricketer. Another one is it says here is the best and the brightest pupils competed to demonstrate their intellectual prowess. So another word would be skill. Yeah, that's pretty good. But with prowess, that to me there's a little bit of showing off when you say prowess, I suppose, but it doesn't have to be. So skill, ability, talent, expertise, outstanding or superior skill or ability, bravery. Yeah, so it could be bravery or fearlessness in battle. So it could be your battle prowess, you might say. It's prowess in battle or something like that. You might talk about it in a general sense. Mm. Although when you read it out, I didn't really notice that. I think we read it out strangely. I think triumph. I'm not sure now. I have this vague idea, these words here. So if I just read this out to you. So the triumph will be achieved by demonstrating superior strategic skills. So I think it was superior or strategic, whichever one. So there's three S words here. So superior strategic skills. Do you fancy reading that little sentence there, Michael?
The triumph will be achieved by demonstrating superior strategic skills. Strategic,
It was the first one. So strategic.
strategic,
Yeah, strategic. Yeah,
strategic, superior strategic skills.
that's right. So if you take off the ick, so it becomes strategy. Strategy. So if you change the ending, it goes to strategy. Is that with an E? I think, yeah, strategy. So strategic and strategy.
Strategic,
Yeah, that's it. That's it. That's it. You got it. And once again, this one here. So prowess, prowess. Yeah,
prowess.
yeah. I think you're overdoing the W a little bit. So prowess, prowess. So it is there, but because it's a tricky letter for you. You're really having to work to do it, and you're overdoing it slightly. But that's okay. So it's good that you're doing it, sort of thing. But that's okay. So prowess.
Prowess.
Yeah, that's getting better. Definitely getting better. There was something else there, and I can't remember. Oh, conquer is a difficult word, but you had it. You had it. So it's not used very often. So when you win against someone else, say in chess or whatever else is, you can say you've conquered.
Conquer.
Yeah, that's it. But you were good on that. I like that. You're very good. There was something else. Can't remember what it is. Well, that's it then. So so maybe for us, Ruslan. So did you have any else, Ruslan? I think you noticed in this little bit here that we've read
Um,
that sort of got your
Actually, no.
no. Okay. Okay. So were you listening? But maybe you weren't listening. So what does manuscript mean? The word there. I talked about that for a little while.
Yeah. You
Any
told
idea?
us about that manuscript means it is like a old book, yeah, which
Yeah.
was written by hands, yeah, and
Yeah. Yeah.
actually it is not all of information. One page can be lost, for example.
Yeah. That's true. Yeah. It's sometimes bits of manuscripts do get lost. Like the very last page gets lost, or the very first page. That's
Yeah.
it. It does. Very true. And sometimes with manuscripts, they've been in a fire, but they were rescued. Otherwise, we wouldn't have the manuscript. And so the edges are sometimes burnt, and you see the edges aren't straight sometimes. Very strange. So let's just quickly pop that into the dictionary because I just to sort of go back over that one because I think I had this vague feeling I missed something out when I said it. So it's interesting here. They talk about manuscript copy, manuscript pages, and manuscriptal. We don't really use that word at all. I would say pretty much manuscriptal. It's very rarely used. So I've hit search and it comes up with. So it's got a plural too. So a manuscript is a handwritten or typed document. So nowadays it can be typed, but in the past, obviously, it was just handwritten. But when it says, then it says, especially a writer's, it says exactly what I said, especially a writer's first version of a book before it is published. That's it. So then the second meaning it says here, they're both countable nouns. A manuscript is an old document that was written by hand before printing was invented. That's exactly what you said, really, isn't it? Yeah. So it's handwritten as opposed to printed. But normally, back in the very old times, things would be in scroll form, so a rolled up long piece of paper, and they're called scrolls. Okay, so Ruslan, this is your go here. So we've read that one there. If I scroll to there, so this is your first bit here, I think. Is that okay? So just do your best, and we'll then go over it. That's okay. Thank you.
Uh, Another image in the manuscript show five black people framing the chessboard. In Western medieval visual culture, scenes with only black figures are rare and typically have a negative uh, connotations.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
However, this particular image um, envisions them in a highly intellectualized setting and in seemingly uh, amicable atmosphere.
Yes, that's very good, actually. Brilliant. Very, very good. Some tricky words there. You did very well. So, what are your trickiest words there, do you think, that you noticed? Or hardest
Mm,
words, or words without any meaning for you?
it is connotations. Connotations.
Yeah, that's oh, your second one there was perfect, basically. That's it. So connotations. You can't get any better than that. That's exactly it. Connotations. So connotations, the meaning is, let's pop it into the dictionary. So it's sort of not strictly said, but there's sort of some, normally it's negative, not normally positive. It's sort of some sort of negative feelings or ideas about it, or about something or other, whatever they're referring to. But normally it's negative, not really positive. So let's read what it says. So the connotations of a particular word or name are the ideas or qualities which it makes you think of or sort of associated. So if I said a certain word to you, you might think, oh, well, there's lots of ideas associated with that. Might be, and they're generally bad things, I would say, on the whole. But I suppose it could also be good things too. So they say implications is one of the words you could replace it with, or colouring. You might colour things in a good way, or colour them in a bad way, or in a mocking way. You might colour something like that. That's a way of using that word colouring as well. Then it says association. We just use association, didn't we? Or suggestion is another one. That's an interesting one. And the sentence using the word is this one here. It says, it's just one of those words that's got so many negative connotations. That's a good way of using it. They're not explaining it very well, but yeah, it's great, I think. So it's sort of the ideas associated with a particular thing, and of course they even say negative here, but it can be positive. But most of the time this word gets used, it's negative, strangely. So yeah, anything else there?
And envisions.
Yeah. So if so, so if you're envisioning something, you're probably sitting here and thinking about, well, how am I going to make my new business? Well, I could have. Then you sort of make up a vision, you might say. In your
Like,
mind, you've got ideas in your mind. Yeah, does that make sense? That's
yeah,
one way.
yeah,
Yeah,
okay, okay.
yeah. So it's sort of having ideas in your mind is one way of thinking about it. Um, but here, they're actually using it in a slightly different way. So if I just read that sentence towards the end, then. So, however, this particular image envisions them in a highly intellectualized setting and in a seemingly amicable atmosphere. So that this last sentence is describing what, in a sense, what's going on in this picture here. I think it's this picture because it says five people are in it, and I see five people there. So they're saying in this picture, it's envisioning
It's like, in
the
simple words, they are planning.
well, no, not really planning. Here, it's showing. I would say showing. But this picture, it isn't it isn't a real. It implies it's not a real scene. That they didn't really sort of have five people sitting down playing chess and then paint them. So they're saying it's implying it's not a real scene. Yeah, so it's just
Okay,
showing in this sense. Within visions, you could put the word showing in there in this sense.
okay,
And if you're thinking, so it does sort of relate to the first way, the first idea that we had. If you're envisioning something, you could say you're showing it too. You could say, I suppose. They are sort of related. So this is a picture here, down here with my cursors, and it envisions a scene where all these people are playing the game as friends, or in a friendly manner. They're not fighting, they're having fun. This person's playing some music to make it more enjoyable. These people are drinking something over here while they're playing the game or watching the game.
yeah, okay.
So, yeah.
And
So, yeah, that's it. Anything else? Yeah.
yeah, I would like to ask you about this
Mm,
intellectualized, yeah.
mm.
And my
If you're an
pronunciation is that
intellectual, if you're an intellectual, what would you say you are, or what would you say that person is? If someone's an intellectual, what are you?
clever.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
I know actually,
yeah.
what it means.
Oh,
Yeah,
right.
but
Okay.
I wanted to ask you about pronunciation.
Oh, I think you're pretty fit pretty good. So I would say those three words there as highly intellectualized. Highly intellectualized.
Uh,
I sort of rushed it in the middle bit there. So a highly intellectualized setting. I would say that's the way most people say it, but it's probably a little bit not quite exactly correct. So I'd pop it into the dictionary and get their more exact, correct pronunciation. It'd be interesting to see how different it is. Um, so we've got an S here, and they've got it with a Z. So Z I would think to be more American, but let's listen to them.
Intellectualize.
Yeah, see, they're going to try to pronounce every syllable there, aren't they? So let's um, once again.
Intellectualize.
Yeah, okay, yeah. Oh, and the British way is with an S normally. There we go. So I'm not quite sure why I put it in the dictionary now, but there we go. So intellectualized. Yeah. Do you want us to say it a couple of times that
yeah,
sentence then? Those half a sentence, those three words there, maybe that one there.
uh, highly intel, highly inte, uh, highly intellectualized seating
Yeah. Yeah. So this is
setting,
setting,
setting.
setting.
Yeah,
And the setting is really, this is the photo. This setting is how things are laid out, that there's people sitting, one playing a musical instrument. This is the setting. Yeah. So if there was, the setting might be at a swimming pool, not hopefully playing chess. That'd be another setting. Okay.
yeah,
Um, And so this works together with the envisions a setting, you might say. Envisions a setting. This person's envisioning or envision of a setting is this thing here. Um, what about amicable? What about that word there? So
Well,
that's
it is
amicable.
probably it is look like incredible, yeah, incredible, peaceful
Good
atmosphere.
guess. Good guess. But it really means friendly. We use it today to mean friendly. Friendly.
Okay, amicable, yeah, amicable.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm saying it's amicable, but I think some do say amicable. I think I have heard it said that way. So I think they have.
Mm,
Well, let's see if they back me up. So I've put the dictionary into the dictionary. It's come up with amicable divorce. So when two
mm,
people get divorced,
yeah.
obviously there's lots of bad feeling normally, but it can be a friendly divorce when there isn't all that bad feeling. So it's not really friendly, but people aren't fighting it. They sort of say, but they both agree, let's get divorced and do our own thing. Amicable number. So an amicable number might be at a party of mine, I can fit, say, 20 people into my front room. That'd be an amicable number, a friendly number. If 1,000 turned up, it would not be amicable. So amicable parting, amicable relations, amicable relationship, amicable setting, solution, split. So the split is very similar to divorce, isn't it? So let's, so I've forgotten what I'm searching this for now. Oh, there was two words saying it was amicable. I think I'm sure I have heard amicable, but listen to they say it.
amicable,
Most people say amicable, but I definitely have heard probably the American way. So listen to the Americans.
amicable,
Amicable. Yeah, okay, not really. I've heard amicable though. So they're saying agreeable is a good way of putting it. So there's goodwill, friendly, peaceable. That's the meaning. Okay, so they're not fighting. Although really, the game of chess is supposedly two sides having a war, having a battle. That's meant to be what it sort of represents, the game of chess. Supposedly, we're told. But yet it's amicable. People are friendly. So, so this is a picture in the book, that book that was had that sort of Spanish title. Oh, here we go. So Libro de Axedrez. Axedrez. I'm not sure how to pronounce that, but so let's go to the next bit down there. So you've only got like a couple of lines here. I think it's not quite the end. Do you want to just read that last bit at the bottom there?
Yeah, okay. While chess didn't eradicate the dominant social norms when it came to race, it did empower players to challenge them within its own ludic realm.
Hmm. Okay, so I thought your empower was absolutely fantastic. That's very good. That's exactly how you say it. Empower. The only other tricky word, I guess, maybe might be this one here. So that's
Yeah, exactly.
eradicate. Eradicate.
Eradicate.
Yeah. Yeah, okay. So I think you're saying eradicate. I think some people occasionally say it that way if they want to really emphasize it. So if you want to really emphasize you're getting rid of the weeds in the garden, I want to eradicate those weeds tonight or today or tomorrow, whatever. Lots of weeds in the garden. But most people say eradicate, eradicate.
Eradicate. It is
Yeah, spot on.
like destroy, yeah, something.
Yes, that's right. So if you're eradicating the weeds, you're completely getting rid of them. Yeah, that's it.
Okay.
The sort of the meaning. I think the meaning is pull up by the roots. I think I might be wrong there, but is that the Latin meaning? Oh no, I've got the old dictionary again. Do forgive me. Keep going to the dictionary. So eradicate a disease, eradicate a pest. That's some other ways you might use the word. Um, yeah, so completely get rid of something, it says there, eradicate.
And as well, probably we can say rid of, yeah, of something.
Yeah, if you're getting rid of something, yeah, you eradicate it. I'm going to eradicate. I
It is
can't think.
probably more official, yeah, to use this word.
Yes, it's a little bit more, yeah, bit more official, yeah, sort of literary sense, yeah. So here it goes here. So to pull or tear up by the roots. I think that's the Latin meaning right there, actually. So to obliterate, to stamp out. So the police might say, we're going to stamp down on or eradicate drink driving. So being drunk when you're driving the car, that's what it's referring to. But it doesn't really happen a great deal nowadays. The only other word I saw here was this ludic realm. So it's
Mm,
so
I
let's
guess this is name, yeah, of some person, of man, no?
yeah ludic realm. So let's pop it into the dictionary. It doesn't get a lot of use. So ludicrous. So they're giving it the meaning of playfulness.
Ah,
So if you had another ending on this, might be ludicrous. Have you ever heard the word ludicrous?
no, no.
So if something's a bit crazy, a bit
Ah,
mad, oh, that's ludicrous. You would never do that. So
no,
it's a bit mad, a bit nutty, a bit strange, or just it's going too far doing something. Something's ludicrous.
no.
Ludic, they're saying it's playful. It's having like a game of chess. Let's listen to how they say it.
ludic,
Ludic.
Mm.
So it said ludic. Got to say it that way. You can't say ludic. You got to say ludic. And it comes from the French and the Latin. I didn't. Ah, and in Latin it actually means game. Ah, I didn't know that. Actually means game.
Ah,
And this is
but
obviously again
why this is from capital letter or it's look like capital, no?
we're
Oh,
in
no,
the
no, no.
dictionary.
Why in this articles?
I did. I
No,
don't
no,
think it.
it is no normal. No, it is not
Yeah,
capital.
you just felt that it was. Yeah, yeah, ludic. So ludic as a word gets so little use. This is the quality of the writing. It's really quite high level. And so very, very few people use the word ludic. But that's where we get ludicrous from, which sort of means slightly mad, peculiar, strange, too playful in a word. So let me just read that little bit again then, that whole thing. Okay, so while chess did not eradicate the dominant social norms when it came to, sorry, so when it came to race, let me read that bit again, I read it wrong there. So while chess did not eradicate the dominant social norms when it came to race, it did empower players to challenge them within its own ludic dream. I wanted to say ludicrous. So it tripped me up. So ludic. So with the emphasis, because of the meaning, it's really a lot of emphasis on those two words because so it did not do something. That's one sort of that's the important part of that sentence. And then it comes to this other half of the sentence and it says it did. And so this is really becomes very important. So you could say this is the other important part. This is the one of the most important parts of the sentence. So you could give a lot of emphasis to it did. So it did empower players to challenge them within its own ludic realm, I should say. So, and the bit it did was challenge social norms. That's the bit. So it's a complicated
But
sentence.
actually, it is true, and it is very intelligent game, and it
Yeah.
is looks like a challenge. Yeah.
Mm. Yeah, I think when you're concentrating on the game, you're not concentrating on the other player. You want to win the game, so you're concentrating on the game itself and not the person who's playing. One thing that's interesting is that I noticed He's giving a, well, perhaps I'm wrong. You see, I think this player is giving a hand signal
Ah,
because either that or he's missing his two middle fingers, I think.
okay.
I'm not going to say
Nowadays, it is means a bit different signs. I think most
mm.
these signs use most teenagers use these hand signs. I think when they want to have some fun with the drugs.
Aha. It's
Yeah, yeah.
interesting that there's lots of different meanings, isn't there, to hand signals? It's interesting that I've got a book and it looks at these what these hand signals means in different places, and different places just have different meanings. And I think this is
Yeah,
called the horned hand or something, or the horn signal. And some people do it straight up, some people do it flat, and I think he's doing the flat one. Um, uh, I think there could be. I think this to my mind this means fighting because
I
it's
think.
fighting the game. Is the game of war essentially, isn't it? And so I'm going to beat you. I think he's saying I'm going to beat you with his hand signal. That's what I think that's saying anyway. But
Yeah, but I want to say, at the end of this article, I uh, found out that this is a chessboard
oh
game
yeah,
actually represent the war in real life, and
yeah, yeah,
the piece in a chessboard it is like a soldiers,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
and there is some rank as well,
Yes, yes, that's
and
right.
yeah,
It's amazing, isn't it? That there's all these different meanings in things, isn't there? I think here it says, so a ninth century elephant chess figure. So this is one of the chess pieces, and it looks Indian to me. So that is a chess piece. Look how complicated it is. From modern day Pakistan. Oh, I thought that was ancient. Is that really from modern day? It doesn't look modern to me. Never mind. So it says down here that it's based on
yeah.
in this article, does it? At the
Yeah,
bottom.
scroll down a bit. Yeah, scroll down.
This is the end of it here, I think, isn't it? Yeah. So
Yeah, 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 yeah.
so yeah.
Yeah, I saw it. Scroll down a bit.
Here?
No, yeah, okay, stop. Therefore, these pieces could become representations of the diff. Oh no, no.
I can't see where you are actually. Are you in
Oh,
this paragraph or
yeah,
this
yeah, yeah,
paragraph up here? That one.
yeah. On a certain describe.
Oh, therefore, yeah,
Oh,
okay.
well, yeah, yeah, yeah. This is the second sentences. Are the people of the world who are drawn? Um, no, yeah, there is, but actually, at the moment, I can find where it was.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
It's quite a big article, isn't it? So
Yeah, yeah. Oh, chess is a game of war, and the figures are meant to represent soldiers.
yeah,
Did
yeah.
you see it? Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so chess spread across Afro-Eurasia from the 6th century India to the rest of the known world. Chess is a game of war, and the figures are meant to represent soldiers. Yet, as the game traveled, the form of the figures kept changing, reflecting the societies that produced them. Yeah, yeah.
I have
So,
some idea.
mm.
Instead of war, leaders of country can sit on a table and play the chess game, and in this way,
Yeah, they can do it.
yeah,
But occasionally, and it was very occasionally, I think the Greeks did this sometimes. If there was two armies facing each other,
Yeah,
sometimes occasionally the two heads of the armies came out and they had a fight,
yeah.
supposedly, in front of their soldiers. And sometimes they even said, okay, whoever wins between the two commanders of the armies, whoever wins that single battle between two people or
I
fight.
think I think it's leaders of two of each bo each the leaders of each side
Yeah.
must be learned or well educated to play. And when
Yeah.
someone is not, so it's
Yeah. Interesting.
someone like barbarian. It's
Yeah.
usually
More.
Yeah, it is true because the leader of the country should be wiser. Yeah,
Yeah.
can
Well,
we
you
say
did say wise. That's good.
wise?
Yeah. So the
Yeah,
leader of a country should be wise,
yeah,
or who should be the wisest in the country, hopefully. It
yeah,
mentions here. Yeah, go on. Hmm.
yeah, and in countries where leaders wise and learned, they solved the problem with in diplomatic way usually.
Yeah. But I think we're sort of going through a period sort of across the world really where we're not being very wise. We're being very emotional. We're fighting battles based on emotion rather than wisdom, I think, at the moment.
In,
So this is a chess character here. To me, he looks like a king, but
yeah.
I don't know. I don't know for certain. So there are kings and queens on a chessboard, and they were in back in the medieval period in the olden days, 1,000 years ago. The king would often lead a battle. He would tell people to, advance in that direction, attack now, fire your arrows now, horses charge on that side, that sort of thing. So, wow. I love the character of this guy's face. His eyes look so glazed over and bleak and staring and very sad mouth. And he's clearly got a beard. The shape of his jaw is really basically a beard, isn't it? And he's got his sword between his two hands. Oh dear. Okay.
It's interesting, but in chess, the king's figure, it's quite weak. This figure
Yeah.
can move
Mm.
only in one
Mm.
square.
One square at a time, isn't it? Yeah.
Yes, yes, yes.
Mm.
Yes, the figure can move in different uh, squares
Directions.
direction, but only at one in one.
Yes.
So
So the king
in
piece
in in
in
chess,
chess.
king piece in
Yeah.
chess. Yeah.
Well, I probably wouldn't say king piece. So I'd just say the king in chess can only move one square, but he can move in any direction. Something like that, I would say. That's it.
Yes, quite. I would say quite not useless, but it's very weak, and yeah, we should.
Yeah.
You must protect
Yes.
uh,
But it's
this figure.
interesting, the queen, she can go
Yeah,
at lightning speed across the
yeah,
whole board, pretty much, and will
the
protect the king, I guess you could say,
the
hopefully.
most
Yeah,
powerful.
it's strange that the king has very little power, and it's the queen that has all the power. I like this character here because if you really, he's basically sitting on a chair. He appears to be sitting on a chair or a throne. That's you could imagine, really. Um, so I think this is a piece from a chessboard that was discovered probably just over about 100 years ago, or perhaps slightly over 100 years ago. But it was discovered on a small island. Was it in the Orkney, or the Outer Hebrides, I believe. Oh, I can't see it here as
some
well.
idea about the queen,
Go on.
the king. Uh, in my mind, king should king in a young age
Yeah,
might be a good fire. Yeah,
a good player or
the good
fighter,
fighter,
fighter.
the good
Yeah,
fighter.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, is it like this or probably no?
Well, I think you're right. A young player, a young king would tend to be more active. But just because they're more active, they don't really have the wisdom. And I suppose an elderly king sitting on his throne, only moving one square at a time. I think it works. I think that's quite accurate. I think an elderly king is going to be more. Um, oh, Lewis. So yeah. So it's found on Lewis, and that's um, a place. Oh, Lewis and Harris. So that's in the Outer Hebrides. That's not. I thought it was the. I thought it was. I said it was the Orkney. It isn't Orkney. So Lewis and Harris are some islands, a chain of islands in Scotland, and I think they're found on the beach. Those carved ivory pieces, I think they were. Yeah. So the Lewis chessmen, I think they referred to. That's right, the Lewis chessmen. So so this is from another chess game, and the other one, the previous one I just showed you, is from the Lewis chessmen. There we go. Oh, from the Outer Hebrides. So the Outer Hebrides are a group of islands just on the edge of Scotland, east western side of Scotland. We hope it's such a long article. There's no way we're going to read all of it. But the pictures are fantastic. I love those pictures. So so which so I was wondering. It said that, so there's black people, white people, and I think it said Asians. So if we go back to that photo again, which is this one here, so I, I can't work out who are the Asians then. Who do you think the Asians are? I think we can.
I don't know. It's for me. It's looks like black people, but
Yeah,
with their uh, traditional clothes and
clothes,
clothes, and
clothes.
that
Yeah.
and the men wear some type of
Mm.
hat. I don't know how to explain, but
Mm.
this uh,
Headdress, some sort of a headdress, you would say.
headdress. Yes,
Yeah.
it's common in
Mm.
India, in the India and
Mm.
Pakistan. So I think it's
Mm.
and maybe it's not black, not like Afro. Uh,
Mm.
it's like brown, maybe from India people, from India or Pakistan.
Yes, it's interesting. So this person's face here, the color of their skin, it is different, say, to the person he's playing. So, but interesting that the headdresses of this person and this one are very similar. So I'm assuming, let's say they're the same religion and the same, or very similar sort of cultural background. That's my feeling, but I might be wrong.
Mm.
Um, Whereas this person's here, their headdress, it looks more like an Arab sheikh. You think about the Arab sheikhs, if I say Arab sheikhs, they have like a very simple white covering on their head normally, with a black band sort of tying it on almost. And that's very much how I see Arabs nowadays. But this is pretty much 1,000 years ago, and I think they probably had something similar, wore similar clothes. But what I really notice in this photo is that see, if you look at this person here, the clothes he's wearing, so this is clothes. Um, it's actually really quite transparent because you can see his hand through it, and you can see his chest there, but it's still got the material there, and you can see that's his leg there. You can see the brown of his leg coming through, and you can clearly see where his hand comes out the end of it, but you can still see. And over here, this other person. The clothing is almost transparent, not completely, but fairly transparent. You can see pretty much everything, really, can't you? I would say you can see breasts, to be honest, right there. I think this is a woman, and I think that's breasts, but I might be wrong. These faces look more feminine than masculine to me, but I might be
Yeah,
wrong.
and I guess on the right side,
Yeah.
the person with a musical instrument,
Mm.
it is as well woman.
Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah, it could be. That's true, actually. The face it looks a bit more delicate, doesn't it, somehow? So
Yeah,
men's faces, not always. Men's faces are longer, and women's faces are rounder. This one looks reasonably round here. If this is a lady, it's quite a long one, but it's not uniform, is it? So, what is this musical instrument? Do you think then? It's got a name, of course. As a general
uh,
name.
I'm not I'm not good enough with musical instruments. Yeah, we need probably yeah ask Michael because
Yeah.
Michael knows, I
No,
guess.
I don't know. It looks like
Mm.
a harp. It's pink
Yes.
musical instrument, but I don't
Yes.
know. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
It's
No, you're spot on. Harp. Yeah, harp. But if you said harp nowadays, people would think something about twice the size of this. So, in other words, it would be on the ground and the top would be sort of roughly head height, probably slightly. There's obviously variations. So, if you remember when we had that other class, there were some musical instruments and there was someone with a lap, I think they had a lap harp. So it's a lap heart. So it would sit in the lap. So your lap, you're across your two legs. So you might have a computer that's a laptop. So a laptop, so it fits on your top of your legs, really. That's a laptop. And so this would be a lap harp, you might say. I would guess. But it's probably not exactly a lap harp. It might be another name to it, I suspect.
Yeah, you're right about clothes. The man on the left side in the
Mm.
pink. Uh,
Oh, yeah, this chap, yeah.
yes, I see. Uh, it's similar to the clothes, the similar as a woman with harp, lap harp,
Mm. Mm.
harp.
Mm. Mm.
It's a similar way, in similar. And I don't know what the black stripe on the man.
Yeah, yeah.
It looks
Strange
like
that. Hmm.
like so. So maybe this picture show the unity and of course in chess you play with white figures and
Yeah.
then we change the sides and play
Hmm.
another color. So
That's right, because one particular color always goes first, doesn't it?
yes,
So you
yes.
decide you by chance, supposedly, who gets white or who gets black, and that decides who goes first, doesn't it?
So that picture represent that people with different cultures and
Yeah.
different
Yeah.
status mixed
Status. Yeah.
status, yes, were
Yeah.
mixed
Yeah.
when
So there's lots of differences, isn't there? Yeah.
yeah, and they were mixed when
Hmm.
played chess.
In a word, in a sense, you could say chess is unifying because
Yeah,
it brings different people from different cultures, different levels of different cultures and different societies together to play the game.
yes, and this pictures some different side,
Mm,
men and women
yeah,
from it. From we can suppose that they from one culture, but they mixed.
mm. It's fascinating. It's a fantastic drawing. That it really is.
Actually, that
Painting.
chessboard it used to be in the red and blue squares.
Oh yeah, Yeah, that's interesting. Red and blue. So this is red and white or creamy. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
Red
fascinating.
and
Yeah,
I never heard about red and blue.
yeah. So you say
Black.
used to be. Was that like a particular culture, or was that a
but
thousand
it is
years ago or
according
something?
to this article, if I'm
Oh,
not
really?
mistaken, yeah,
Oh, okay.
it
Yeah.
says that it used to be in a red and
Oh.
probably yellow, or
Oh,
probably, yeah. Red, it
so
is
this is
100%.
blue back here. This is blue,
Yeah,
isn't it? Yeah.
yeah, probably yellow. White, yellow.
No, because I've never seen kids in the yellow or in blue. Yes, it's sometimes in black and white
Yeah.
squares, black and yellow, and I know for checkers, they use the same board by uh,
Mm.
red and yellow or red and white squares. So it's but
So I've tapped in checkers. So game board. It's not going to put anything on the screen, is it? So let's click on the checkers game for free. Whoops. Play in your browser. Oh, you can play in your browser. It says here. So I could go straight to photos really. So that's what happens today. Oh, it's loading. It's loading some game. Oh no, I won't play the game. Let's go to pictures and images. Let me close that one. Let me close that checkers one because don't it give me trouble. Ah, so it is red and black. That's interesting. But it's always black though, black and dark, black and lighter. But red and black's interesting. So you're saying checkers is what colors again, Michael? Checkers is what colors? Black and
it's black and red. But
yeah.
it's yes, black and red, and
Wow.
but it's it's different. I don't know. I had I have
Mm.
checkers from my parents and from my grandparents, and it's different. There are in black and white, there are red and black, and the same situation with board. Also, some squares there are boards with black and white squares. Maybe it's a
Mm.
universal blackboard for chess and checkers.
Mm.
Um, but for checkers, it's white and red and black. I think
I
it's. I don't know why it's for why there is difference. Maybe it's related with different nations and
mm.
religions and
Different traditions. It's a little bit like when we're reading the article. It says when the game of chess went from different regions, the bit we just read out, it changed. The pieces changed from each region, so each culture changed the game a little bit. They had different kinds of pieces, I guess. So the king might look different and the queen might look different because it is going to reflect their culture. Because someone has to buy a copy of that game or buy those little pieces, and it has to look like something they might want to buy, I guess. And so purchasing, I think, changes things. It has to fit in with the culture so that people will buy more of them, and so that it's worthwhile making them in the first place, I guess. We're saying checkers here. So in Britain, I would say a lot of people have half an idea what checkers is, but they wouldn't know for certain. But I think when we say checkers in Britain, we would say drafts. Drafts. Strange. So we call checkers drafts. Let me just tap that word in there. Let me put checkers in because it's easier and my spelling's terrible. So checkers. Let's see what it comes up with. So this is sort of a British dictionary, but so it's come up with is a US is the first thing it's come up with. So checkers is a game for two people played with 24 round pieces on a board. Yeah. In Britain, sorry, in Brits use drafts. Drafts. Let's have a game of drafts. Yeah. So,
Draft.
but checkers does sound better somehow, and it definitely sounds American, doesn't it? Yeah, and it's probably even America and Canada. So, but it mentions nothing about. It just says on a checkerboard. So, would we say a checkerboard? I don't know. Drafts board. We might say checkerboard, but most people wouldn't say, or get the board out for playing drafts. That's what we would say, something like that. We just wouldn't say checkerboard. So when you say checkerboard, we might say checkerboard pattern. So we might remember, of course, we had that in the Roman Rudin story that came up checkerboard, wasn't it? So it's just sort of black followed by white normally, or a square pattern of alternating colours on cloth, probably on clothing or a hat or something. But I think probably we do have a reasonably good idea of the American usages of most words. Right. Anything else we can talk about?
Yeah, traditionally checkers board is red and black.
Um,
Chessboard is traditionally white and black or wood tones, and
yeah.
checkerboards red and black, especially in the US.
Yeah. Yeah. It's weird, isn't it? There's so many sort of interesting changes and differences like that. It's just so weird. But so that's I think that is the pieces. I don't know. It's interesting. They've got red pieces versus black pieces. Strange, isn't it? I suppose in a way it means you got to buy two boards. You got to buy a chessboard and you got to buy a drafts board or a checkerboard. Yeah, or checkers board.
No, it's if traditional checkers,
Hmm.
uh, it, it's the same board. You can play it.
Yeah, obviously, it's the same number of squares, isn't it?
Yes,
But
but
here's Ruslan's blue one here, black and blue.
Yeah, but it is not a chessboard. It is just cover
Yeah,
of
yeah. So it's
it.
the cover. So it's in the sky, isn't it? For some reason,
Yeah,
yeah.
probably
Strange.
yesterday I was too tired that
I
yeah.
believe you. I believe you. But it was no. It's worth saying those kind of things because it gets us to talk about anything, right? And really, it's just conversation in one sense. Is what we're doing. So I often say a lot of rubbish for the most part. So it's good to come along here because I talk a bit more sense when I'm here. Actually, when we go on those walks, sometimes I just talk gibberish on those walks. You know, oh, there's a walk coming up this Sunday if you're interested. We were
Oh,
meant
this
to do a
Sunday.
walk last Sunday, but the weather forecast on about Wednesday, Thursday was so bad. I agreed with the other guy to change it to this Sunday coming up now. So if I quickly flick over to this page
And
here,
it is about 3 miles, yeah, as it was, yeah.
yeah,
Mm,
it's the same walk basically. Yes,
same, okay.
it's just not visible here. So, oh, because Friday, yeah, of course, there we go. So Wednesday looks busy. So, okay.
Actually, I wanted to put my name on it tomorrow, but
Hmm.
I don't know, it immediately kick off me from the your page. I don't know.
Yeah,
But,
you mentioned that to me.
yeah,
So
I
I
don't
gave
know.
you the link for today's class. I didn't
Yeah.
realize it was tomorrow's you had the problem, but it doesn't surprise me because I do find Zoom is just so tricky. It doesn't really work very well. Not Zoom, I mean, Zoom is okay actually. It's Meetup is the tricky. Yeah, so there's no evidence that you ever even tried. If I click on manage, it might come up with your
But
name.
if I will try now, probably you will have something, no?
Yeah, well, yeah, give it a go. Yeah, try it now if you want to.
Um,
Yeah,
yeah, I mean, thanks.
I have to update this page when you give it a go. So we'll stop the class in a second. I shall stop it now. Think about it.
Yeah, for example, tomorrow, change the class.